Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 187. Without any delay, start explanation. The two opponents ascended the stage at the same time. They did not meet each other during the solo competition. Thus, this was their first encounter on the competition stage. There was a fire burning in their hearts. This was destined to be a fight between a dragon and a tiger one. The second match is about to begin. It'll be Shrek Academy's Yuan Yehue against His Highness the Fourth Prince. Although Yuan Yehue doesn't have a complete set of one-word battle armor, she possesses the core component of a battle armor. She's able to unleash most of the powers of a battle armor. At the same time, she has a twin martial soul. Both her martial souls are extraordinarily powerful. According to our profile, her martial souls are the Titan Giant Ape and Fallen Angel. She possesses the two great attributes of strength and darkness. This will be a collision between two powerhouses. I wish them both a good fight. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let the match begin. Unlike the previous match, when the commencement of the match was announced, Yuan Yehue and Dai Yu Yang charged toward each other. They were both Assault System Battle Soul Masters. They could unleash their most powerful combat strengths within a certain range. While Yuan Yehue sprinted furiously, her body started swelling rapidly. Her first and third soul rings flickered. Titan Strength and Diamond Titan. When she ran, her feet hardly made any sound on the ground. With the transformation of her body, each stride took her further. Simultaneously, her feet made deep booming sounds when they landed on the ground as if a giant beast was on the rampage. Similarly, Dai Yu Yang unleashed his first and third soul skills. White Tiger Protective Barrier and White Tiger Diamond Transformation. His body did not swell as intensely as Yuan Yehue's, but he too turned extremely strong. He flexed his pair of tiger claws and moved with a blinding speed. The audience held their breath. Fangus commentating had an urgent tone. This will be a collision between assault and strength. The first contact between the two contestants will be crucial as it'll reveal to us which of them has the upper hand in the realm familiar to both. Whoever loses ground after the first contact will face an uphill battle as the match progresses. At the same time she was commentating, the distance between the two contestants had reduced drastically. Yuan Yehue lowered her shoulder in an overbearing pose which bore the weight of her whole body as she charged toward Dai Yu Yang. Just when everyone thought that this would be a clash between two titans, Dai Yu Yang's body suddenly turned illusory. He sidestepped Yuan Yehue's head-on ram with Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track. At the same time, his pair of tiger claws swept toward Yuan Yehue's ribs at an angle from below. A head-on collision of strength? Based upon appearances, it seemed that both were assault systems. Even though the White Tiger martial soul was strong, it could never compare with the Titan Giant Ape martial soul who was stronger. Dai Yu Yang was sure of this, so he knew he should not be careless just because his cultivation base was one ring higher than Yuan Yehue. He should not underestimate anyone from Shrek Academy. Yuan Yehue's ram missed. At this moment, she turned a half circle as her body quickly dodged Dai Yu Yan's claws. Dai Yu Yan's speed was extraordinarily quick. He unleashed Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track and entangled Yuan Yehue like a phantom. His claws aimed for her vital parts under the ribs. This was also partly due to the difference in their heights. A smaller stature meant that he was nimbler. In this respect, Dai Yu Yang was confident in himself. When Yuan Yehue turned around, she raised her arms which exposed the vulnerable spots under her ribs. It was then that Dai Yu Yang felt a sudden pull from a dragging force. His initially nimble body became sluggish abruptly. When he moved closer to Yuan Yehue, even his Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track was muddled. As a direct disciple of Tang Sect, how could Dai Yu Yang not recognize Tang Sect's technique of controlling crane capturing dragon? In reality, he had yet to learn this secret technique, but he knew its abilities quite well. With Titan Giant Ape's powerful strength and her vigorous soul power, Yuan Yehue fused controlling crane capturing dragon and her second soul skill, air cannon, to create a strong controlling force over the airflow. Her arms were in an encircling position and a vortex seemed to appear before her arms. Dai Yuyan reeled from the pull of the vortex instantly. Yuan Yehui tried to grab Dai Yuyan's shoulders with her hands. Dai Yuyan was caught off guard as he barely managed to dodge Yuan Yehui's clutch. Displaying his formidable ability to adapt to changes, he responded swiftly by lifting his head, and a mouthful of white tiger intense light wave shot straight toward Yuan Yehui's face. The two contestants were very close to each other. It was difficult for Dai Yuyan, who had currently lost control, to completely dodge Yuan Yehui's hands. Similarly, it was equally difficult for Yuan Yehui to dodge his shot of white tiger intense light wave at such close proximity. If one attacked the enemy's strategic points, there would be retaliation inevitably. Dai Yuyan could not have made a better choice. If Yuan Yehui wanted to dodge, it would be impossible for her to grab him. Otherwise, she would be hit by the light beam. If she was hit by the white tiger intense light wave, how could she grab Dai Yuyan then? With his cultivation base, the attacking power of white tiger intense light wave had reached a potent level. Within a range of 10 meters, even rare metals would be shattered instantly. Yuan Yehui's course of action was so simple, it exceeded everyone's expectation. She opened her mouth wide and shouted, "Break!" A formless light shot out directly from her mouth in an explosive manner. Upon contact, the white tiger intense light wave showed signs of crumbling. Although it was still intact, its speed of attack slowed down tremendously. Yuan Yehui tilted her head to dodge the white tiger intense light wave. As a result, one hand missed its target, but the other hand managed to grab Dai Yuyan's shoulder. A moment later, Dai Yuyan felt another immense force coming at him. He was jerked upward. Without the slightest hesitation, the soul rings on both contestants' bodies shone at the same time. The one which shone on Dai Yuyan's body was his fifth soul ring, White Tiger Demon God Transformation. His body enlarged and was strengthened swiftly. His attacks and defenses were reinforced at the same time. On the other hand, Yuan Yehui's body shrunk instead, with her arms becoming thick and burly. Her fourth soul ring shone brightly, Devil Titan. Boom! Dai Yuyan was sent crashing mercilessly to the ground. The entire competition stage sounded an intense roar. The spectators' stand was immediately filled with exclamations of shock. There were many who worried for the fourth prince. He was thrown to the ground, and a mass of white light erupted from Dai Yuyan's body. Fourth soul skill, White Tiger Demon Slaying Kill. If she did not let go, Yuan Yehui would be pulled into the White Tiger Demon Slaying Kill. Yuan Yehui retreated backward and rapidly put some distance between them. At the same time, she raised her fists. Under the exertion of her burly arms, she smashed her fists forcefully onto the ground. Boom! Dai Yuyan unleashed White Tiger Demon Slaying Kill as he broke free from Yuan Yehui's grasp. After Yuan Yehui hit the ground, his entire body shook violently until he bounced off the ground. His body was currently in a mess. Yuan Yehui stomped on the ground with both feet. Like a cannonball, she charged toward his chest to ram him. When Yuan was under the influence of the Demon Titan, she was practically a wild machine filled with immense power. Dai Yuyan's body was in the air, and his heart was filled with dread. His opponent's combat strength was exceedingly powerful. Also, the terrifying level of her powers did not seem to be inferior to Tang Wulin's. With his body in the air, the fourth prince showed his resolve. He did not make another attempt to dodge or counterattack. Instead, he quickly hugged his knees to curl his body into a ball and used his back to counter Yuan Yehui's tackle. The force of her tackle was brutal. Dai Yuyan was sent flying like a cannonball. Nevertheless, the instant his body was hit, Yuan Yehui noticed something unusual. Dai Yuyan's body was unstrained. He was floating lightly like a piece of straw. Despite the impact from the tackle which shook him, it did not have the effect that she intended. His body shot across the air as Dai Yuyan stretched his limbs. Simultaneously, pieces of battle armor were flung out which reached for his body and then merged together. Dai Yuyan reflected that he had incurred some serious losses after the series of close-range combat. If this went on, he was worried that he would lose. He might not even have the chance to don his battle armor. The Titan Giant Ape Martial Soul completely suppressed his White Tiger Martial Soul. His opponent's battle will was stronger than his, and it was apparent that his opponent was more experienced in actual combat. Under such circumstances, he must capitalize on his advantage if he wanted to turn this defeat into a victory. Compared to Yuan and Yehue, his biggest advantage was undoubtedly the complete set of one-word battle armor. That was why he took the risk of enduring a tackle. With White Tiger Demon God transformation, he redirected the force of impact to shed it. While he kept his distance, he donned his battle armor. Yuan and Yehue also unleashed her battle armor without hesitation. A layer of lustrous glow shone. Pieces of battle armor stuck to her body and completely protected her upper body. With the donning of their battle armors, the imposing techniques of both contestants were strengthened instantly. Dai Yuan's feet had touched the ground. In the next moment, he rebounded back to where he came from. This time, he was twice as agile as before. Yuan and Yehue punched out with her right fist, precisely at his tiger claw. Boom! Both their bodies shot backward. The complete set of one-word battle armor had closed the gap between their strengths. Yuan and Yehue no longer had much of an advantage in terms of strength. Dai Yuan's body glittered. He advanced with Ghost Shadow perplexing track as his pair of tiger claw sharp blades danced in the air. He unleashed a heavy assault on Yuan and Yehue. With her Demon Titan and her battle armor, Yuan and Yehue fought safely and steadily. She was as stable as Mount Tai. Her large hands unleashed controlling crane capturing dragon as she tried her utmost to diminish her opponent's agility advantage. Dai Yuan was disheartened when he was suppressed by her. Currently, he regained the upper hand after going through many challenges. His attacking form became more ferocious. Yuan and Yehue could not help but retreat slowly. She was suppressed by him until she had difficulty breathing. His Highness the Fourth Prince has temporarily gained the upper hand with the advantage of his battle armor. He is no longer inferior to his opponent in terms of strength. He even has the advantage of his tiger claw's sharpness. If we look closely, we will notice that some parts of Yuan and Yehue's battle armor have been marked by tiger claws. Under such circumstances, the exhaustion of her soul power will be accelerated. His Highness the Fourth Prince's cultivation base is over rank 50. Although Yuan and Yehue is a twin martial soul, she wouldn't have any advantage in terms of her soul power. The odds are in the Fourth Prince's favor. What remains to be seen is whether contestant Yuan and Yehue is able to utilize the advantage of her twin martial soul to turn the tides of battle as their match progresses. Fanger's commentary was pertinent despite being biased toward His Highness the Fourth Prince. The audience finally sighed in relief. Previously, when they saw the Fourth Prince being slammed onto the ground, their hearts skipped a beat. Although Yuan and Yehue was continually receding, she was not flustered in her retreat. Her gaze was determined as she waited for an opportunity to counterattack. Boom! A pair of tiger claws struck on Yuan and Yehue's vambraces. She retreated after being shaken by the impact of the attack. There were 10 more claw marks on her vambraces. With the enhancement of his battle armor and the improvement from his 3 white tiger transformations, Dai Yuan's attacking power had reached a fearsome level. Dai Yuan let out a long roar from his mouth. His body shone brightly. He leaped in an attempt to unleash his white tiger demon-slaying kill for a final assault to end this battle. At this moment, Yuan and Yehue's body shrunk rapidly, and a pair of pitch-black wings unfurled behind her. Dai Yuan snorted inwardly. I've waited for you for a long time. He unleashed his white tiger demon-slaying kill all the same. However, the black and white lights which should have been concentrated were dispersed outward. Countless tiger claws covered the skies. This skill was a variation in the application of white tiger demon-slaying kill. The attack combined the attacking techniques of the royal family's Hell Civet Martial Soul and Hell 100 Claws, which made its attacking field larger. After she transformed into the fallen angel, Yuan and Yehue's agility undoubtedly increased greatly and she would be nimbler still. However, she encountered another problem. When her agility was raised, her defensive powers would be greatly diminished. She would be a far cry from when she possessed Diamond Titan and Demon Titan. Dai Yuan had launched an attack which covered a wide area to seal off Yuan and Yehue's routes of evasion. He would not give her the opportunity to extend the distance between them to unleash her soul skills. As long as he kept a firm control over the battle, he could win the battle. Faced with the sky-covering tiger claws, all possible evasion routes for Yuan and Yehue were sealed. After she had transformed into the fallen angel, she was no longer ferocious nor charming. The fourth soul ring on her body flashed, and a peculiar scene materialized. An ominous black gate appeared suddenly. Yuan and Yehue was behind the black gate. The claw's shadows fell onto the pitch-black gate and vanished into thin air. Was this possible? What soul skill was this? The young ones from Shrek Academy, not to mention Dai Yuyang, were witnessing Yuan and Yehue unleashing her fallen angel martial soul's fourth soul skill for the first time. Usually, she used her Titan giant ape martial soul. She rarely used her fallen angel martial soul, which was why she had never displayed this fourth martial soul of hers. When he saw his own claw shadows being blocked by this strange black gate, Dai Yuyang instinctively retreated 10 meters immediately. The unknown attributes of a soul master's soul skill were the most formidable. Soul skills were infinite in variety. It was only when one had witnessed its powers could one defend against it. Soul masters were most powerful when they had obtained a new soul skill. Out of prudent consideration, he chose the safer course of action. Yuan and Yehue's body flashed and she appeared at the side of the black gate. It was only now that everyone could clearly see that it was a dark purple gate. There were indistinguishable complex patterns above the gates, and they seemed to be shifting constantly. Moments later, a faint formless terror appeared as if the devil himself had opened his jaws and transformed into the gate. Shrill wails arose one after another from within the gate. Suddenly, a slender leg stepped out from inside. Its skin was fair while the leg was slender and thin. A little later, a slender figure walked out from within. She was wearing pitch-black leather clothes that covered her vital parts. Her long flowing hair was dark purple and fell elegantly behind her. She looked exactly like Yuan and Yehue. The only difference was that she had two bright red small horns on her forehead. In the waiting area, Yu Jingyu suddenly sat upright in his seat. He said hysterically, "Hell's Gates. I'm surprised that she has a soul skill like this. No wonder she doesn't use it often." Xu Xiaoyan asked with shock, "Hell's Gates? What is that?" Yu Jingyu said gruffly, "That's a true demonic power. She can summon a demonized version of herself to aid her in battle. However, this soul skill involves another plane of existence. The demon's power is not so easy to use. If her own will isn't firm enough, she may put her own soul in peril if she uses this soul skill frequently. She will assimilate into her demonized form and eventually turn into the demon's avatar in the mortal realm." When he said this, his gaze turned intricate. According to his clan's rules, he must immediately subdue a person who used such a soul skill. He must at least render the person's cultivation base to naught to prevent any mishap that might arise after such a person was demonized. All the soul masters who underwent demonization had powerful natural gifts. Once they were demonized, the improvement of their cultivation base would accelerate. They would most likely bring untold disasters. In this regard, they might be even more terrifying than the evil soul masters. It was said that the most powerful evil soul master would have inevitably gone through some degree of demonization. Yuan and Yehue's original fallen angel martial soul was better in a sense that she was still able to control it. Also, she was no evil soul master. However, with the appearance of Hell's Gate, whether she could keep it under control aside, the evil soul master's organization would spare no resources in abducting her and coerce her into demonizing herself. They might even exploit her as a tool for their own gains. Thus, there was a great potential for troubles to arise. "Let's wait until the match is over, then we'll talk." Yu obviously picked up on the unspoken meaning of Yu Jingyu's words. She glanced at him, then spoke gravely. On the competition stage, due to the appearance of another Yuan and Yehue, waves of incredulity swept through the audience. Even Fanga could not help saying, "What soul skill is this? I've never seen this before. Another Yuan and Yehue has appeared. This is clearly not a clone-type soul skill. I just don't know how much this soul skill will increase her strength." Meanwhile, the battle on the competition stage was still ongoing. When he saw that there were now 2 opponents instead of 1, Dai Yuyang felt scared. However, the demonized double of Yuan and Yehui did not have any battle armor on. Without hesitation, Dai Yuyang opened his mouth. A beam of white tiger intense light wave shot toward the demonized Yuan and Yehui. The demonized Yuan and Yehui smiled sweetly, a tantalizing smile that could mesmerize the masses. Even Dai Yuyang was a little stunned when he saw her smile. He cried out in his heart, "Such beauty!" In the midst of demonized Yuan and Yehui's gaze, which was filled with bitterness, the white tiger intense light wave landed on her body. In an instant, her body erupted with a poof. She transformed into a mass of black smoke which then condensed as she regained her form in the next instant. Yuan and Yehui was also on the move. Her body flashed and she leaped into the air with the shadow demon sword in her hands. She slashed the sword in Dai Yuyan's direction, and a crescent-shaped purplish-black energy blade was instantly upon him. Dai Yuyang swept his right tiger claw. The tips of his claw showed their abilities to their fullest extent as he blocked the attack of the demon shadow sword. However, the demonized Yuan and Yehui vanished and reappeared in front of him. A purple soul ring rippled around her body. Immediately, Dai Yuyang felt his body weakening. Even his battle armor did not block the effects of her soul skill. This was the weakness curse. Dai Yuyang spread his claws and slashed at her again, but Yuan and Yehui only smiled slightly and said with a gentle tone, "Can you do it?" Her voice was sweet and moving. It sounded like stimulating music to his ears. She had used the demon's voice fills the mind. Yuan and Yehui was already descending from the skies. While Dai Yuyang was affected by the demon's voice fills the mind, her body was increasing in size as she transformed into the Titan giant ape. Boom! Dai Yuyang was sent flying by Yuan and Yehui's single punch. The Yuan and Yehui still had a beautiful smile on her face. She raised her right hand, and a shadow demon sword appeared in her grip. If Hell's Gates had such an enormous problem and the ability to possibly demonize its user, naturally it would have its own strengths as well. When Yuan and Yehui switched back to her Titan giant ape martial soul, her demonized self was not affected at all. Given that Dai Yuyan's situation had turned from facing 1 Yuan and Yehui to 2 Yuan and Yehuis, namely the Titan giant ape martial soul and a strengthened version of the fallen angel martial soul. The demonized Yuan and Yehui possessed fallen angel soul skills just like her main body. In addition to that, she also had some demonic cursing abilities. As he faced both of them at the same time, the tide of the battle immediately changed course. Yuan and Yehui took 1 step forward. She charged toward Dai Yuyang with heavy footsteps, flapped her wings behind her and flew into the air. The shadow demon sword in her hand was pointed toward him. Dai Yuyang felt his heart tightened, and an intense sense of fear arose spontaneously within him. Still afflicted by the weakness curse, he was then struck by the fear curse. Faced with both curses, his own strength was immediately weakened greatly. The demonized Yuan and Yehui in midair slashed downward with the shadow demon sword in her hands. However, unlike Yuan and Yehui's original attack, her sword's energy had turned into halos of light which wrapped themselves around Dai Yuyan's body. Boom! Yuan and Yehui charging head-on immediately sent Dai Yuyang flying with her tackle. In midair, she flapped her wings and caught up to his body as it flew upward. Be careful! It was another dose of demon's voice fills the mind. Dai Yuyang, who had intended to break free of the shackles, froze immediately. The humongous form of Yuan and Yehui's Titan giant ape martial soul had already leaped brazenly. She grabbed Dai Yuyan's ankle in midair and flung him downward. Then, she brought along her own heavy body and they fell from the sky. The audience instinctively shut their eyes. With a bang, Yuan and Yehui mercilessly smashed Dai Yuyang onto the ground with the force of her own body. Although he had the protection of his battle armor, the impact from this smash still disoriented him. Shortly after, an intense pain shot throughout his entire body, and he could not help but convulse. From the demonized Yuan and Yehui came the pain curse. It could intensify the pain experienced by the body of the afflicted by several folds. Yuan and Yehui had no intention of letting him go. She lifted Dai Yuyan's body with her hands and smashed him mercilessly into another spot on the ground. Then, she picked him up and smashed him back into the previous spot. His body was flung to the left and right by her, just like that. She was smashing His Highness, the fourth prince, on the ground repeatedly like a gunnysack. The booming sound was deafening. Dai Yuyan had clearly lost the ability to resist. The audience stared with their mouths agape. Fanger had also abruptly stopped her commentating. Stop, stop. 4 referees charged onto the stage at the same time. They sprinted in Yuan and Yehue's direction. Yuan and Yehue swung her right hand and flung Dai Yuyan outward. He crashed heavily onto the ground once again. I'm sorry, I lost control earlier, said Yuan and Yehue dryly. When she said this, the entire Colosseum went into an uproar. Her calm tone did not contain any element of losing her calm. There was nobody who could not see that she was deliberately taking revenge for Long Yu stomping on Tang Wulin. Also, she had done this to His Highness, the fourth prince, who was in line to be the crown prince. She had given them a loud slap, but nobody could find any fault in her actions based on the rules. In the waiting area, the atmosphere had instantly turned grave on Monster Academy's side. Even Long Yu's gaze seemed to burn with a faint fire. Naturally, Dai Yuyan was not as seriously injured as Tang Wulin the other day. However, the repeated heavy flinging of the Titan giant ape's full force had shaken him so violently that blood was coming out of 7 of his orifices. Fortunately, he had the protection of his battle armor, or just one fling would have cost him his life. The demonized Yuan and Yehue placed a hand on the Yuan and Yehue who had returned to her human form. She whispered something in her ear before turning around to go back into Hell's Gates with nimble steps. The black light retracted and Hell's Gates shut tight as it disappeared. Yuan and Yehue's expression instantly turned pale. Although her body swayed a little, she still managed to control herself. She went down the competition stage and returned to the waiting area. In the waiting area, Yuan and Yehue took no notice of the unkind glances from the Monster Academy members. She received the recovery pork buns Shulishi passed to her and ate them. 2-0. Monster Academy had lost 2 consecutive matches in the solo competition, while Shrek Academy already obtained 2 cumulative points. They had simply lost 2 tragically, especially in the second match. After being attended to, Dai Yuyan only managed to return to the waiting area with the support of the staff. His body was still uncontrollably twitching slightly from the intense pain brought about by the pain curse a few moments ago. Although he was not too badly injured, they were slapped rather hard in their faces. Long Yu slowly stood up, keeping the gleam in his eyes in check. Then, he walked outward with great strides. The final match of the solo competition, and the captain of Monster Academy's team finally made his appearance. No matter what, Monster Academy could not lose any more matches. As for Shrek Academy, GUU did not stand up. She merely replied, "We're changing our plans slightly." Then, she uttered something in a whisper. Smiles appeared on the faces of the others for the first time in so many days as a person stood up and strode toward the competition stage. This contestant is? Fanger finally regained her bearings. The commentating of the competition must go on. The audience was also slightly stunned when they saw the contestant who walked out of Shrek Academy's waiting area. Who is this person? How is it that we don't recall seeing him? Did he really join the competition? I've just looked through the contestant information files. The name of this contestant is Shulishi from Shrek Academy's squadron. He had participated in the team battles and paired competition before this, but had given up on the competition for some unknown reason afterward. But he seems to be a... Yes, the person who walked out from Shrek Academy's waiting area was none other than the big, fleshy Shulishi who always wore a silly smile on his face. He is a food-type tool soul master. Fanger's voice changed slightly. When faced with Long Yu, Monster Academy's strongest captain, Shrek Academy surprisingly sent a food-type tool soul master. What was the meaning of this? As everyone wondered about the matter, Shulishi was already on the competition stage. After Long Yu entered the protective barrier, he could no longer hear the commentary outside the barrier. He similarly could not recall any information on Shulishi. When he saw his smiling, big, and fleshy opponent, he could not help but frown. Could it be that this person Shrek Academy sent out is their secret weapon? Is he more powerful than the previous two? Is he the finale for the solo competition? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the match begin. The referee did not care about the identities of the contestants sent out by both sides. He still announced for the competition to be continued. Hold on. The commencement of the match was just announced when Xu Lixi suddenly raised his fleshy hand in Long Yu's direction. Long Yu did not even move from his spot. What do you have to say? Xu Lixi laughed naively and muttered to himself, don't judge a meat bun by its folds. A white large bun appeared on his palm. Do you want a bun? Long Yu was stunned. Eat a bun? What trickery was this? You don't? Xu Lixi answered his own question, very well then, I yield. After he finished, he shoved the large bun in his hand into his mouth. He finished the bun in a few bites. Then, he turned around and leaped down the competition stage. This. Long Yu was stunned. Fanga was stunned. The higher-ups of Star Luo Empire were also stunned. What situation was this? How did it turn out this way? He yielded? He yielded without even putting up a fight? This was the finals of the team competition, the strongest collision between the two academies. Also, under the condition where Shrek Academy had won the first two matches, they had surprisingly chosen to surrender in the third match. No matter how dumb Long Yu was, he could still tell that the fatso who had just ascended the stage earlier was a food-type tool soul master. What was the meaning of his opponent sending a food-type tool soul master on stage? Were they insulting him on purpose? This was a simple act of utter shamelessness and a public slap in their faces. After a brief period of silence, countless curses instantly erupted from the spectator stands. The tide of curses pressed toward Shrek Academy's waiting area like a volcanic roar or the sea's tidal crash. This was the Star Luo Empire. Yuan and Yehui had treated Dai Yuyang that way, and then there was the provocation from the food-type tool soul master. This was simply unbearable. On the platform, even the face of Dai Qianling, Star Luo Empire's emperor's face turned sour. However, he must display ample magnanimity at such moments as the emperor. After all, their captain had also been gravely wounded in the previous match on Shrek Academy's side. Now, when the other party exacted their revenge, was this not something normal? Tang Bingyao was also watching today's match on the platform. At that moment, he said to Dai Qianling with an apologetic expression, Your Majesty, I am truly sorry. With the intention of training these children, Shrek Academy did not assign any teachers to guide them throughout this competition. They had been acting on compulsion. I apologize to you on their behalf. Dai Qianling felt an urge to slap his smiling face. Was this an apology? This was them rejoicing in their misfortune. The fact of having no teachers guiding them was just an excuse, and he did not have a shred of apology in his tone. It's all right, this is also a type of strategy. The Star Luo Empire's emperor would never voice his own emotions. Long Yu stood on the competition stage and did not go down. He raised his right hand and pointed coldly toward the people from Shrek Academy in the waiting area. Then, he curled his finger. They're yielding? You can yield for one match, but can you yield every single match? Gu said to her companions in a low voice with a calm expression, Lixi, we are still sending you up. Xiaoyan, you follow him, just keep yielding. It was 2 against 2. It was too difficult for them if they wanted to defeat Long Yu and Dai Yuna. According to Gu's strategy, she had never intended to fight against Long Yu during the 2 versus 2 from the very start. The final team battle was the crucial moment that would decide the outcome of this competition. Okay. Xu Xiaoyan stood up. She smiled beautifully and said, I love acting the most. Xu Lixi smiled foolishly. I'll go up and eat another bun. Xiaoyan, do you want one? Xu Xiaoyan continued naturally and gracefully, why not? Give me one when we're up there later. As they conversed, the two of them made their way outside. At that moment, an enthusiastic voice sounded, "Why do we have to yield? Who says that we'll definitely lose?" When they heard these words, the group were astonished at first, but shortly after, the expression of disbelief simultaneously appeared on everyone's faces. Guu teleported on the spot, bringing with her a flash of silver light before she abruptly turned around. The others jumped from their respective seats as fast as they could manage. He wore a dark green school uniform, and his hands were in his pockets. He smiled happily as he looked at his companions, blinking his big eyes at them as his long eyelashes twinkled. His face had a smile that was as warm as the glow of the sun. "Is that contestant Tang Wulin?" On the platform, Fanger's voice seemed to have been raised an octave higher in an instant. "Shrek Academy's contestant Tang Wulin has returned." "Yes, he has returned. Captain." Xie swiftly rushed toward Tang Wulin and gave him a big hug. Xu Xiaoyan also rushed over quickly. "Captain, you're all right. This is wonderful, truly wonderful." Although Yi Xinglan pressed her lips together, her gaze was no longer calm. Her eyes shone brightly as if a dazzling sword's tint was flickering. Yu Zhenyu and Yuan and Yehue locked eyes and smiled at each other. They tightened their fists at the same time. Xu Lixi chuckled. "These few days when you're not around, I've been eating less. I've even lost weight." Tang Wulin patted Xie's back. "Relax everyone, I am all right. Let's finish this battle, then we'll talk more." His gaze was directed towards Guu at that moment. Guu's gaze had remained steady. Watery mist enshrouded her eyes. She told herself continually to calm down. However, she still could not control her emotions. Tang Wulin smiled at her. "I'm back." Guu drew a deep breath and calmed herself. "You're back, I'm returning the post of captain to you. You'll call the shots for the upcoming matches." Tang Wulin took 2 steps forward. He raised his hand and grabbed Guu's shoulder. "For the paired match, let us be the ones to fight." Guu was stunned. "You can fight?" Tang Wulin's eyes lit up suddenly. A vigorous aura suddenly burst forth from his body. The thick bloodline wave seemed to have substance. "Of course I can." On the competition stage, Long Yu was looking in their direction. His expression was grim. How has Tang Wulin healed so swiftly? Diuna had already made her way up onto the competition stage. Her gaze was fixed on Tang Wulin. Her eyes were slightly dazed. "He's all right, he's all right. He's come back." For some unknown reason, when she saw Tang Wulin, there was a feeling of relief from the heavy burden on her heart. He had finally returned. Guu glanced at Tang Wulin beside her, the watery mist in her eyes dispersed. In its place was a determined and stubborn stare. A formless imposing manner burst forth from her body. It complemented the aura released from Tang Wulin's body, and the 2 auras augmented each other. Although they were far away from the competition stage, Long Yu could still feel it plainly. His expression turned grim. "Contestant Tang Wulin has returned. Have his wounds healed already?" Judging by his looks, he seems to intend to represent Shrek Academy's squadron in the paired battle. The person fighting alongside him. I've checked the name list, and it should be their contestant Guu. Before this, she had only participated in the paired competition. Her martial soul seemed to be a certain element, but because she hasn't used it much, we have very limited information on her. The opponents they'll be facing are contestants Long Yu and Her Highness Princess Diuna. Although this 2 versus 2 match cannot determine the final outcome of the competition, it can still decide which contestant will be able to proceed to the final team battle round with an advantage. Let us wait eagerly. I hope that Shrek Academy's side will not choose to surrender again. If that were to happen, it would deal a great blow to their morale. Within Fanger's series of commentary, her voice was noticeably filled with surprise. Obviously, before Tang Wulin's return, the ones who were supposed to fight in the duo match were not him and Guu. Instead, they were supposed to be Xu Lixi and Xu Xiaoyan, who already stood up. Due to the fact that Xu Lixi was a food-type tool soul master, their intention to forfeit the match was as clear as daylight. They would surrender in the 2 against 2, and then give it everything in the final team battle. Although Fanga still thought that they did not stand a chance, it was truly the best choice they could have made, as their odds would be relatively higher. However, now that Tang Wulin has returned, everything seemed different now. Tang Wulin and Gu walked shoulder to shoulder, toward the competition stage. He whispered something in Gu's ear and he nodded in return. Her gaze was no longer dry. Instead, it had a fighting determination that she had never expressed before. The two of them waited to go up the competition stage. Gu's black hair was neatly tied into a ponytail behind her head. A faint smile emerged on Tang Wulin's handsome face. He seemed to no longer mind about being gravely injured by Long Yu in their last battle. "Brother Long, so we meet again." Tang Wulin waved at Long Yu. "The outcome will not change." "I see you've recovered quickly," Long Yu said coldly. Tang Wulin smiled subtly. "That's the only virtue I have, I'm the cockroach you can't get rid of." "Brother Long, you won't have your way today." Long Yu's expression froze. What did he mean? Dayuna beside him looked at Tang Wulin, then she looked at Long Yu. This unruly princess had for once kept her mouth shut. She realized that she was not, even slightly, interested in the outcome of this match. Both sides, get ready. The 2-against-2 paired competition begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start. The referee looked at both sides, then he announced the commencement of the match. On the platform, the leader of Doluo Continent's diplomatic corps, Tang Bingyao, straightened his back instinctively. Tang Wulin has returned, this was certainly a good thing. However, could he defeat Long Yu? Whether they win or lose, it would not be regarded that Shrek Academy had truly lost. Nevertheless, they could produce a miracle. Dai Qianling's current expression was a peculiar one. The other day, he had personally witnessed the degree of injuries Long Yu had inflicted upon Tang Wulin. This had happened in just 10 days. Has he recovered already? Has he recovered appropriately? On the competition stage. The moment the referee announced that the match had started, Tang Wulin took great strides and charged in Long Yu's direction. He seemed to be unaffected by the loss in his previous match. As he charged, his body glimmered with golden light as golden soul rings rose from under his feet. Long Yu's eyes immediately bulged. 1, 2, 3 rings? The number of golden soul rings on his body had increased to 3. In the short span of 10 days, not only did he recuperate, but he had obtained a 3rd soul ring as well. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.